If you've ever Googled how much online reputation management costs and got zero straight answers, there's a reason for that. So in this video, I want to break that all down and keep pricing as realistic as possible. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Jordan for those of you that are new here. And in today's video, I want to cover how much online reputation management costs. There's a couple of things to take into account here. So we'll look at the different tiers, pricing, timelines, how to know exactly what you're paying for, and things like that. So let's jump right in. Okay, so question one, why pricing varies? ORM pricing varies because no two reputation problems are the same. And just to give you some context, we have two clients we'll compare here, and both of these we worked with a while back now. So client A, for example, came to us. They had a single negative Reddit thread. Everything else looked great. The goal was essentially to remove that Reddit thread, but then also suppress it if we were unable to remove it, suppress it, and then just reinforce credibility across page one and reinforce that positive AI overview as well. Client B came to us and it was a much different story, right? The entire page one was flooded with negative content. They had multiple articles, negative links, just different, all kinds of attacks from various platforms. That they wanted obviously cleaned up, and then of course to kind of reframe that AI overview to influence the language that was being used into something positive and really kind of highlight who they are. They had a couple of defamation lawsuits as well that they won, but they were still ranking, and so really just damaging their content long term, and had been like that for quite some time before they even came to us. So as you can probably already imagine here, client A is going to be a much more relaxed case, if you will. The monthly investments are going to be a lot more affordable versus client B because of the amount of work that's going to have to go into client B. Those payments could trend upwards of $5, $10, $15,000 a month, but totally dependent on the strategy agreed upon between the client and the ORM firm. Number two, what are you actually paying for? This is one of the most common questions we get when sending out proposals or talking with leads. They want to know exactly what they're paying for, right? And because online reputation management isn't necessarily a very tangible product, there's some confusion, there's some doubts often that come our way. So I'll break it down here real quick. So when you hire an ORM firm, you're not just paying for that strategy doc. It's actually a team executing every single day. So whether that's content published, optimizing directories, building out citations, reframing that AI overview. There's quite a lot of moving parts that go into this. And it's not just a, couple hours here, a couple hours there. It's every day for the next 6 months, right? Or for the next year, whatever that contract term is. The way I like to look at it as a construction crew, right? So you're not paying for the blueprint, you're paying for the people actually putting in the work, laying the concrete, laying the bricks, putting up the walls, roofing, plumbing, electrical work, things like that. And something really important to also understand as well is that results aren't going to show in a week, let alone even a month or heading into month 2. So you're really paying for that final product, that turnaround from negative to positive. And it's just one of those things that nobody really wants to hear, but it has to be said. Online reputation management work is not an overnight fix. So results won't be shown within a week. Even going into month 1 or month 2, there's going to be very little movement, but the biggest thing is ensuring that you do understand what exactly you've paid for. So number 3, what does a realistic ORM budget look like? So let's talk real numbers here. A lot of people kind of tiptoe around this. I'm going to jump just right in. So there's quite a few firms out there, of course, and this is all going to vary across the industry, but just for my own research, what I've seen with what other firms are charging and whatnot, your entry level is typically going to be around 2,500 euros a month, maybe 25 to 3,000, maybe even up to 3,500 euros a month. What that's going to entail is just be a lighter scope with fewer deliverables. Then we have mid-tier. That's going to be anywhere from 2,500 to 5,000 euros a month. Now, this is also going to depend on complexity of the actual case. So going back to our example before with client A, much more relaxed project and a more affordable monthly investment versus client B. There's a lot more moving parts that go into that and more complex. So it would just depend on the complexity and then whether or not PR is actually included. And PR is typically an add-on. In my opinion, I think it's always worth it because one solid placement beats months of content alone, right? So going back to the previous video, I know I mentioned there are a couple of tiers of PR. You don't have to go after that high tier PR Forbes level right off the bat, but even just a couple of really solid mid-tier PR placements are going to work wonders for you. And then last but not least, we have the premium tier. Now, this is where things get pricey. And again, I've seen all sorts of pricing for kind of that higher tier online reputation management. And that can range anywhere from $20,000 to $25,000 and upward. I've seen some firms that charge like $50,000 for 6 months. So it's pretty crazy kind of what you can get up to, but it all depends on the budget. It all depends on the scope, depends on the exact deliverables and KPIs written out and agreed upon between both parties here. And a strategy is kind of built around your digital footprint, maybe even starting from scratch over the next year or so. Okay, and then number 4, this one is also very common. How do you know if you're getting what you paid for? So this is where a lot of people get burned. Oftentimes clients will send in payment month after month and they have no idea if anything is moving or if they're even getting what they paid for. So first is going to be transparency. Ideally, whoever you're working with, they should be sending you constant updates, updates on published links, ranking screenshots, any kind of SERP movement, and even kind of monthly breakdowns are quite useful. And that's something I practice myself with all of our active clients. If you're getting like a 1-paragraph email at the end of every month, you might have made a costly investment, but I'll leave that up to you. Second one's going to be movement. So by month 3, something should be shifting on page 1. Maybe it was a directory that wasn't there before and it's now appearing, it's been ranked, it's indexed on page 1. Maybe there's another link that we were even a little bit surprised we were able to get rank on page 1, or it's being scraped by the AI overview and it's now kind of shaping the answers there. So any kind of movement should be communicated to you so that way you're aware whether it's positive or negative movement. And then number 3 is reporting. A good ORM firm should be sending weekly or even bi-weekly updates to you on kind of the before and after. It's always best to be able to visualize that. So where were we, maybe 3 months ago and where are we today? Just kind of have side-by-side screenshots there. That really just helps everyone to be on the same page and actually see the results. And then number 5, what happens if your budget is limited? Well, so first off, don't let a limited budget be the reason you do absolutely nothing. Ignored reputation just equals your problems getting worse. The internet never stops. Negative reviews don't stop. So you waiting is not going to solve anything. And in turn, it's really just going to kind of make your situation worse. And really, the longer you wait, the bigger the problem becomes. And then at that point, we might even be looking at some sort of online reputation crisis. So if your budget really is limited, a good ORM firm will be able to work with you on it. Typically, what that's going to look like is just changing maybe the scope or updating some of the deliverables, taking away some deliverables, and then just re-strategizing on the KPIs. So can you do DIY ORM? Technically, yes, but it is a full-time job. So you can build out the citations, you can build out new directories, manage all of your socials on a day-to-day, but it's like cutting your hair. Anyone can do it, but there's going to be some repercussions if it's not done right. And so if you're really short on time, maybe even short on staff, it's best to just hand it off to a team of professionals to handle that for you, especially because there is quite a bit that does go into it. And depending on the severity of your reputation, it might just make the most sense to just pass it off to an online reputation management firm. So the bottom line is this. The question isn't whether you can afford ORM, it's whether you can afford not to have it. There's going to be an entry point for every budget. So the biggest thing is just ensuring that whoever you decide to work with, they are flexible on maybe the scope of work. They're flexible on the deliverables and even the KPIs, depending on your specific budget and even the complexity of your online reputation case. Okay, and so we've covered all 5 points here on how much online reputation management costs. So there's no real exact number as it's going to be dependent. It's going to be very case by case because no reputation case is the same. There's a large variety of problems that are out there, meaning that there's a large variety of pricing fully dependent on your exact need. One thing is consistent though, it's that waiting does not improve anything. Waiting is only going to make the problem worse. So better to act on it now to at least set some sort of budget to make some meaningful impact in your reputation rather than sitting back and letting things get worse. That's all I've got today, guys. I hope you liked the video. I'm going to drop the link down below for the free audit. It takes 30 seconds. It'll tell you exactly where you're standing right now on Google and across LLM. So click that link, check it out. If you guys like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Click that subscribe button, all that jazz, and I will see you guys in the next one.